let's get set for opening kickoff here. Toronto FC, New York City FC. It'll be New York kicking off the action as they defend the goal to our left. And we're underway here in this match between two of the teams that are looking to finish at the top of the group standings. And the ball quickly played out for a Toronto goal kick. New York playing their typical 3-4-3 formation as they're led by that really difficult back line to break down in Prince Amponsa, their captain, Brian Flores in the middle, and Cameron Aceto. Toronto FC countering with a 4-3-3 as they've played essentially the same formation and a variation of that lineup throughout the weekend, as New York looking for a long ball up the pitch, but that gets headed away by Medeiros, and it's out for a NYCFC throw-in. Aiden Arbor to take the throw for New York City FC. As he tosses in, it's defended by Kosi Thompson, the captain for Toronto FC. Arbor looking for some movement off the ball, not much happening as he tosses in for Favard. Arbor, his volley cross ends up out for a TFC goal kick. Now we get some nice comments coming in early on our chat thread, a lot of it favoring the New York City FC crowd because, of course, many of the TFC fans here in attendance. But let's give shout-outs to Alex Schaefer, who's tuning in from Brooklyn, as well as Kaylee Basutro, who's cheering on Brian Flores. A sunny sky with a few clouds, but a bit windy here at the BMO Training Ground, the official training home of Toronto FC, as the wind blowing from left to right across your screen, so towards the Toronto goal of play. As TFC moved the ball around their back line, it was Shannon who moved it to Medeiros, as it's now played up by Stojanovic. Running onto it is Marshall Ruddy, but that gets headed away by Aceto before Flores clears it. Gajadhar, he touches to Zeppieri, tries to pick out Thompson making the run in. His left-footed strike intended for the bottom corner of the far post, and that just went out for a goal kick. But some nice creativity there from TFC, and we've seen Kosi Thompson score on chances just like that here this weekend, so New York will want to have to mark him closely. As the keeper, Clausen, plays it out, Gajadhar heads it back. We should note that Mauro Lulli back in the starting lineup today for TFC. Of their 8 goals for, Lulli has scored 3 of them, as he picked up 2, a brace in their first match over Orlando, a 5-0 win, and then on Saturday, coming into the match as a substitute, Lulli picked up a goal in a 3-0 win over FC Cincinnati. Juan Pablo Sanchez, he tracks down the ball against Leo Guarino as it's played back to Medeiros. Shannon touches to the near flank for Thompson. He's closed down by Arbor. Shielding it from Arbor, it's played back to Shannon. Dorian Shannon goes to his keeper, Christian Calabro, who is being pressured by Paulo Primavera as the sun dips behind a bit of cloud cover here, and you can see on your screen the dramatic change as it goes from sunny to dark in a flash. As Emerald plays a good ball up the near sideline, running onto it is Lulli. He's defended closely by Aceto as he gives it away to Thompson. Kosi Thompson trying to draw to some open space, pulls it to the near side. The sun peeks back out as Zeppieri plays it over to Amaral. Dorian Shannon with possession, as Calabro, the keeper, plays it out to Medeiros. Touched ahead as Sanchez lays it off for Stojanovic, and then it's knocked out for a TFC throw-in. Ball played ahead as Luli tries to flick on for Sanchez. That's knocked out for another Toronto throw-in. As Sanchez receives from the throw of Stojanovic. Dribbling out of the pack comes New York as Flax plays it to the near line as it's back to the Toronto keeper Calabro. It was Arbor stepping up along the near flank to try take possession, but it got away from him. And now Medeiros plays it over to Stojanovic. He switches back to the near side for Shannon as Dorian Shannon takes the space in front of him. Thompson back to Shannon, closed down quickly by Primavera, so he plays it over to Gajadhar. Gajadhar switches over to Stojanovic as he starts to work his way up the pitch. Ball played ahead for Luli, but he couldn't corral it cleanly, and it'll be controlled by the New York keeper, Clausen. Aceto, he ends up giving it away to Juan Pablo Sanchez. Played ahead for Thompson, who tries to chip it up for Luli. Palma, he gets a hand on across his back, but no call as New York able to clear it out across the half. Primavera, he chips ahead. Running onto it is Guarino, but it'll be Calabro, the keeper, who shields it out for the goal kick. So 0-0 the score here early in the match. We're into the 10th minute of play in this game between Toronto FC and New York City FC. As Gajadhar, you're tuned into the Generation Adidas Cup Under 17 Boys Division. Gajadhar gets the pass back from Calabro, and now he's got room to run. He plays the ball up the far flank. Marshall Ruddy running onto it, takes it from his head down to his foot, getting caught up in the feet of a defender, but nothing doing, and it's corralled by the keeper, Clausen. Quinn Clausen wants to slow it down just a little bit. He throws it out to Cameron Aceto, who then plays it to Brian Flores. Flores' ball deflected by Thompson and then headed by Flax out of bounds for a Toronto throw-in. Toronto FC with the seemingly bulk of play so far in this match as Luli commits a foul tight to the line against Arbor, so it'll be a quick free kick for New York, taken by Aceto, played to Flores, who in turn goes to the captain, Prince Amponsa. Amponsa near side to Aceto, as it's just out of touch. New York not quite crisp on the passing, and it'll be a TFC throw-in. Evan Amaral tosses in. He gets the ball right back. As Amaral shielding it from Flax, he plays it back for Shannon. Dorian Shannon switches over to Matthew Medeiros. Touched out wide for Stojanovic. He goes right back to Medeiros, who starts to take the space in front of him. Touches ahead for Gajadhar with contact on his back from Flax. A free kick here for TFC. Played near line for Amaral. He looks to cross into the area. It actually goes down to the goal line, and that'll track out for a NYCFC goal kick. From the goal kick, Prince Amponsa takes control. He plays it ahead, intended for Kipnis, but that's intercepted, and now New York knock it out for a TFC throw-in. The strength of the wind picking up here as it's got that cool fall air bite to it. As Zeppieri thought about teeing up a shot, instead he plays it out wide to Kosi Thompson. He takes it down low to the goal line. His left-footed cross defended well by Arbor and knocked out for a corner kick. So it'll be Jaquil Marshall Ruddy who sets up to take the corner, setting up for an in-swinger. He has a option checking short to him in Sanchez. But instead he delivers a ball to the back post. Oh, Clausen had to punch that one out as it was curling towards the goal line. And Quinn Clausen did well to track back to make the save. Guarino lays it off to Flax, who looks for a switch along the near side intended for Favard, but that is out of touch and out for a Toronto FC throw-in. One more match on schedule for today, as at 1 p.m. Eastern we have FC Cincinnati taking on Atlanta United. As you're tuned into this under-17 boys Generation Adidas Cup match between Toronto FC and NYCFC. As the ball out for a New York City throw-in. Again, a big thank you to Toronto FC and MLSE for having us here over the last few days. It's been a tremendous event. I'm very pleased to be a part of it and happy to be providing the play-by-play commentary as Mauro Lulli tries to play it into the middle for Sanchez, but that gets knocked out for a TFC throw-in. And let's give one more shout-out to our technical crew behind the scenes, everyone from Pia at MLSE to Colin Power to Andrew Redford, of course our cameramen, Armando Carvalho, Ellie Cobain, and Alexander Frazo. Thank you to our whole crew for doing a great job all weekend long. As we wish everyone at home a happy Thanksgiving, it is the long weekend here. TFC play the ball into the corner. Dorian Shannon tried to keep it in, but it's out for another New York throw. As Aiden Arbor tosses in. Palma tries to get possession. It's knocked down by Flax. He lays it back to Arbor from the touchline. Touched ahead for Palma, but that's broken up by Amaral, and then he did a really nice job to dribble tight to the line. He lost it, but then quickly got it back, and now it's fed ahead for Mauro Lulli by way of Christian Zeppieri. Lulli working his way in, plays it back to Zeppieri. His shot got blocked, and then the clearance comes from Kipnis. Nice opportunity and idea from TFC to try capitalize on the counter, but it was defended well by New York. Medeiros plays a long ball intending to pick out Thompson. Contact from Gajadhar on the back of Favard, and that'll be a free kick for New York City. We're getting some good comments on the chat thread. We remind fans to let us know who you're cheering on, where you're watching from. We'll get to some shout-outs, and now's a good opportunity with that ball out for a TFC throw. Let's give a shout-out to Kaylee, who's cheering on NYCFC, and Brian Flores. Good crowd on hand once again to take in the Toronto FC game, as the home team has drawn solid viewership and fan attendance here all weekend, as Medeiros plays it out to Sanchez. He's closed down by Kipnis, so Sanchez has to go back to Medeiros. The keeper Calabro plays it out to Dorian Shannon, who touches ahead, kind of split between Thompson and Zeppieri, and it ends up being possessed by New York. As Aceto, he plays it over to Flores. Aceto goes back to his keeper Clausen, who in turn plays it across the half, where it was met by Medeiros. Loose ball repossessed by TFC as Stojanovic plays it out wide for Marshall Ruddy. Into the middle for Gajadhar. He gets taken down, and a free kick for TFC. 18th minute of play, as TFC and New York City FC are scoreless here in the first half. A foul committed by Amaral on the challenge on Arbor. That's going to draw a warning from the referee. We'll see if anything more than that. As we've got Andrew Allison cheering on TFC and Christian Calabro, as the TFC keeper leads the way here at the Generation Adidas Under-17 Boys Tournament with 2 clean sheets through 2 matches. Good to see Aiden Arbor back up on his own feet and able to continue on. Amaral getting a warning from the referee, but nothing more, as it's played back to the keeper Clausen by way of Aceto. Aceto wearing the captain's armband today for New York City FC, as it's played out to Prince Amponsa. Back to the keeper Clausen. He's being closed down by Marshall Ruddy, so his clearance across half is met by the header of Shannon, and then Stojanovic plays it back to his keeper, Calabro. The wind whipping towards the Toronto FC defensive end as they move the ball around their back line. It's controlled by Matthew Medeiros. Shannon. Amaral. Favard closes him down and takes the ball away. Jojo Favard working his way towards the penalty area. Left-footed shot from 19 yards out, and an easy save that time for Calabro as he falls on top. Bowls it out for Medeiros, who then lays it over to Stojanovic. He's got room to run, but drops it back to Gajadhar, who switches it now to Shannon. Kosi Thompson opens up out wide, and he receives the pass from Dorian Shannon, as Thompson plays it ahead for Luli. Thompson receives the pass back from Luli before playing it over to Stojanovic, who has to hustle to try keep it in play, and he chips it across the half where it's controlled now by Prince Amponsa. Flores over to Aceto. He takes the space in front of him as he plays it ahead for Favard. Favard with a heavy touch loses it to Gajadhar. Great dribbling by Gajadhar as he plays it ahead for Thompson. Left-footed cross, it's right on goal, and Clausen got his hands to it and then scooped up the rebound before anyone in a red jersey could get there. Stojanovic takes the interception on the pass, plays it ahead intended for Luli as he's running on the back of Flores, but Flores clears that away and it'll be out for a Toronto FC throw-in. Well, we've got TFC fan tuning in from London, Ontario, cheering on Toronto today. As from the throw-in, Stojanovic tossed to Marshall Ruddy, but New York City come away with possession. Flax plays it to the half. Shannon lays it off to Medeiros. 21st minute of play, 0-0 the score here between Toronto FC and New York City FC in the Under-17 Boys Group D round play of the Generation Adidas Cup. We're streaming live on the Toronto FC YouTube channel. And remember that you can have your voice heard. Let us know who you're cheering on, where you're watching from by accessing the live chat thread on the right side of your screen. Quick free kick taken by Marshall Ruddy. Lays it to Gajadhar, who plays it up for Zepieri. Ball feeds through to Thompson as he evades the first challenge, crosses past the far post where it's tracked down by Juan Pablo Sanchez. He opts to leave it for Marshall Ruddy, who crosses back to the near side looking for Kosi Thompson as the ball gets away from the TFC captain and out for a New York City goal kick. But still, some promising build-up there by Toronto FC. You have to like the momentum that they're starting to gather here midway through the first half. New York keeper Quinn Clausen plays it out for Cameron Aceto, who goes back to Clausen. And Ponsa steps around the challenge from Marshall Ruddy before playing it ahead for Palma. Palma lays it over to Kipnis. Kipnis touched ahead for Primavera, but Paulo Primavera in an offside position, and that puts an end to the counterattack for New York. Gajadhar receives the pass, draws it away from the challenge of Guarino, and it's now over to Amaral by way of Shannon. Amaral goes back to Dorian Shannon, who plays it over to Matthew Medeiros. Stojanovic, ball tried to feed up the right flank. That was broken up by Palma. New York give possession away. Luli touches into Zeppieri, who picks Thompson, making the run into the near corner. Thompson tracks down the loose ball, trying to take on Arbor, dribbles around the defender, crosses back in front, but that gets blocked as it's Aceto stepping up to make the play. Guarino tries to feed a ball through to Favard. That's blocked initially by Dorian. Primavera comes up with it for New York. Again, he tries to force it over to Favard, but again, Dorian there to make the stop, and now it'll slow down with the keeper Calabro. Gajadhar. Dorian Shannon plays it out to Amaral, who goes right back to Shannon. Medeiros. Stojanovic, back to Medeiros, who picks out Shannon. Ball played over to Amaral. He sends a long ball ahead for Luli, making a run against Aceto. Luli gets to it, plays it off Aceto, and then the New York defender knocks it out for a Toronto throw-in deep in the attacking third. 25th minute of action, 0-0 between Toronto FC and New York City FC. Evan Amaral with movement off the ball. He throws it into Luli, touches back for Thompson. It's off the foot of Sanchez and then cleared away by Kipnis. Only as far as Gajadhar, who heads it back to Amaral, tries to work his way in from the touchline, but instead draws it back to Gajadhar, who goes to Shannon. Medeiros. Palma closing him. Check that. It's Primavera closing him. Nice step up by Kipnis to intercept that pass. Plays ahead for Primavera. Draws back away from Gajadhar and leaves it for Palma. Primavera gets the pass back. Touches it over to Kipnis, but it's out of touch and out for a TFC throw-in. Quick shout out to PC Gaming cheering on TFC from right here in Toronto. Thanks for tuning in today. As you're tuned into the Generation Adidas Cup Under 17 boys action, as a bit of a miscue defensively from Toronto FC. They play the ball out across their own goal line, and it'll be a corner kick here for New York City FC. So from the corner, Flax sets up for an in-swinger from the far corner, delivers a quality cross in, but it's over top the head of Flores, and it'll trail out for a TFC goal kick. Nice idea there from New York City FC, but the execution just lacking on the cross and potential header as Stojanovic tries to switch it to the near flank for Thompson. Headed, but only as far as Amaral. Amaral takes the space in front of him before he's closed down by Palma. Sends the ball over to Marshall Ruddy. Gets one touch, then crosses in as it was a high volley attempt that was kind of a pseudo-cross shot, and it was handled by the keeper, Clausen. But some nice athleticism shown there from Jaquil Marshall Ruddy to bring the ball from his head to his foot for that opportunity. Clausen under pressure. He just clears that out, and it'll be a TFC throw-in. Stojanovic gets set to take that. Marco Stojanovic tosses back to Matthew Medeiros, who in turn lays it off to Dorian Shannon. Shannon with space, he decides to play it to Evan Amaral, who gets closed down by Jojo Favard, so he goes back to Shannon, who in turn touches wide to Medeiros. Medeiros with time and space in front of him. He carries the ball up across the half before losing it to Guarino, but it's quickly picked up by Marshall Ruddy. Palma then takes it away from him as Flax lays it off to Emponsa. Teams looking for possession as Guarino plays it over to Kipnis. Back to Guarino. He gets clipped, but, well, no advantage coming from it, so the referee will whistle back for the free kick just across the half line. Prince Amponsa stands over top the ball for New York to take the free kick as they put players to the top of the penalty area to receive the cross. The wind blowing towards the TFC goal. We'll see if it carries the ball at all as it's headed to the back post but out for a goal kick as Christian Calabro had the angle tracked on that. The goal kick by Calabro played short to Medeiros, ahead to Marshall Ruddy. He lays a backheel pass for Juan Pablo Sanchez, who feeds it ahead for Mauro Luli, but a good defensive tackle by Brian Flores puts an end to that chance. Guarino has it wrestled away from him by Gajadhar, but then Flax steps up to take it. His pass ahead for Primavera as Medeiros shielding it away from the New York attacker, and it's out for a New York corner kick. So a bit of miscommunication there with Medeiros in terms of whether to play it back to the keeper or knock it for the throw, and in the end, it's out for a corner. An option in Primavera, Guarino checks short. Kipnis then feeds the cross to the far post, but it's out for a goal kick. Medeiros to Shannon. Stojanovic plays over to Marshall Ruddy, who in turn goes back to Shannon. Amaral back to Dorian Shannon, who flips it over to Matthew Medeiros. Touches over to Marko Stojanovic. He looks for a ball to Jaquil Marshall Ruddy, who touches up for Juan Pablo Sanchez. Sanchez shielding it away from Brian Palma. Sanchez tries to dribble into some open space. He eventually plays it back to Jason Gajadhar. Amaral touches up for the captain, Kosi Thompson. Thompson being shielded by Arbor. He plays it in for Gajadhar. Touch over to Luli. Back to Gajadhar. He plays it out wide, down low for Marshall Ruddy. Cross back in for Sanchez, and then his shot trails out wide for a goal kick. Nice patient build-up and creativity from TFC as they continue to press. We're here in the 30th minute of play, but it's still scoreless between New York City FC and Toronto FC. Long ball played out across the half. Amaral will shield it for a throw as he looks for an option. Zeppieri checks away as he goes over the head of Thompson, where Luli is met by two defenders on his back, and it's knocked out for another Toronto throw-in. Evan Amaral. Lots of contact between Arbor and Thompson. Nothing comes out of it as Arbor heads it out for another Toronto throw-in. TFC and NYCFC 0-0 in the final 10 minutes of the first half. We're playing two 40-minute halves here in the boys under 17 division of the Generation Adidas Cup. It's regional group play. We're coming to you live from the BMO training ground for Group D action. Stojanovic plays it out wide to Marshall Ruddy. Touch back into the middle for Gajadhar. Luli has it just trail away from him, and New York get the clearance across half, where Stojanovic plays it back to Medeiros. Guarino closing down, but it's out for a TFC throw-in. Marshall Ruddy lays it back to, I believe that was it was Stojanovic who played it back to Medeiros, and now Shannon plays it to Amaral. Amaral goes back to Dorian Shannon, who in turn plays it to Matthew Medeiros. Touched over to Marko Stojanovic. Kosi Thompson making a run. Stojanovic tries to pick him out. Thompson takes it from his chest as he's closed down by Arbor. Plays ahead for Zeppieri. Aceto there, and he knocks it out, and it'll be a TFC throw-in deep in the near corner. Nice job by Thompson to open up for that switch, and a good ball delivered by Stojanovic to pick him out. Amaral tosses into the area for Luli. From his chest, he brings it back to Amaral. Favard closes him down. Ball given away only for a moment as Gajadhar plays it over to Thompson. Sanchez, Stojanovic, looking for Marshall Ruddy. That's picked off by Kipnis, and now Prince Amponsa will get the left-footed clearance out across the half before Medeiros touches it back to his keeper, Calabro. Shannon, Medeiros, Stojanovic, across the half. He looks for a ball into the area. Luli tries to head on, but Aceto there to make the defensive play. Palma, he tries to touch ahead. That's broken up by Sanchez. Zappieri plays a long ball, but no one in a red jersey making the run. It'll be tracked down by Arbor for New York City FC as Aiden Arbor lays it off to Cameron Aceto, who in turn goes to his keeper Quinn Clausen, and he'll get the clearance down the pitch. Primavera running after it, but it's played back to the Toronto keeper Calabro, who then has to play it out to Stojanovic. Picked up by Guarino. He crosses back in front, but the TFC keeper Calabro there to intercept that. He calmly bowls it out for Shannon, who pulls it back inside and plays it over to Medeiros. Stojanovic, back to Medeiros. Touched over to Dorian Shannon. Evan Amaral with Favard closing him down, plays it back to Shannon, who lays it over to Medeiros. Stojanovic. Marshall Ruddy with Amponsa on his back. Amponsa takes the ball away from the Toronto striker, and it's controlled by Cameron Aceto. Brian Flores plays that out wide to Amponsa, who then tries to feed it up for Guarino. His pass initially blocked. Teams exchanging possession, and Luli battling for it against Flores, but it's Flores who wins that exchange. Ball knocked out. It's a New York City FC throw-in. From the throw, it's Toronto FC that end up taking possession as Medeiros played it back to his keeper, Calabro, who through Amaral, they go to Shannon over to Medeiros, and now it's with Stojanovic. Dorian Shannon, he's got Primavera closing him down, lays it off to Amaral, who plays the ball ahead for Zappieri. Thompson, he feeds it up for Zappieri. It's being closed by Flores. It's off of Flores and out for a TFC throw-in. Evan Amaral gets set to take the throw for TFC in the attacking third as he plays it in, intended for Thompson, but it's defended by Arbor, and then Arbor knocks it out for another Toronto throw-in. From the throw, Luli played it back to Amaral. Ball being exchanged here possession-wise, and then Zappieri gets tripped up, so Toronto FC will get a free kick opportunity from a dangerous area on the pitch. Free kick will be about 25 or so yards out, but the placement on the pitch almost directly in line with the top corner of the near side of the 18, so potential for a shot on target, but more likely probably a cross potentially coming in from this, as Marshall Ruddy overtopped the ball with Amaral. Amaral delivers the left-footed cross to the far post, getting a foot back to it is Thompson in front, off the bar, Luli with the header, second chance right on, and it's saved by Clausen. The first header came from Mauro Lulli. It went off the crossbar. The second one coming from Matthew Medeiros. And the keeper Clausen able to secure the second chance. TFC nearly making it a 1-0 scoreline, if not for the denial of the woodwork on Mauro Lulli. Loose ball picked up by Juan Pablo Sanchez. Zeppieri, he's got Flax on his back. Tried to feed it back for Amaral, but it hits Sanchez, and now it's controlled by Palma. Palma plays it out wide to Kipnis as he starts to lead New York on an offensive opportunity. Primavera had it knocked away from him. Nice job by Flax to get it back for Favard. His cross gets knocked down by Amaral, and now Lulli lays it back for Zeppieri. Thompson tried to take it away from Aceto, but it's the New York right back who comes away with the ball, and then he loses it to the sideline. It's out for a TFC throw-in. All final few minutes of the first half ticking away. We're into the 38th minute of play as TFC and NYCFC remain scoreless here in the first half of action. As you're tuned into the Generation Adidas Cup Under 17 Boys Competition, it's Regional Group D play, as we've got one more game on the schedule after this one, and that'll wrap up the weekend of live streaming competition that we've really enjoyed being here with you for. Ball knocked out for a New York City throw-in as Arbor tosses deep into the corner for Primavera as Shannon heads it out for a corner kick. So Brian Palma sets up to take the outswinger from the corner. As he delivers a cross to the near post, it nearly pinballs off of Flores and in the goal, but it was saved by Calabro as he throws it ahead for Lulli. Lulli trying to shield it away from Palma, ends up having his pass intercepted as the ball knocked high in the air. Gets caught up in the wind for a moment before Gajadhar plays it back to Thompson. Primavera pressuring really hard right now as New York trying to pin TFC back, but they do well to open out wide for Stojanovic. Stojanovic evades the slide tackle from Kipnis before switching back to Shannon. Amaral plays it back to Shannon, who in turn goes to the keeper Calabro, who touches out for Stojanovic. The wind really picking up now, as TFC need to be mindful of that with it blowing towards their goal. They do well to keep the ball on the floor as Shannon plays it ahead for Amaral. His ball up, intended for Lulli. Running onto it is Sanchez. Coming off the line is the keeper, Clausen. And it's in the back of the net. Mauro Lulli picks up the loose ball and gets his fourth goal of the weekend to give Toronto FC a 1-0 lead here late in the first half. Mauro Lulli picks up the loose ball at the top of the 18, chips it over top the helpless keeper. There was one defender back in Flores who did his best to clear it off the line, but it gets past the outstretched Flores. And with his fourth goal in 3 matches this weekend, Mauro Lulli makes it 1-0 TFC in the 40th minute of play. He has been red hot here this weekend for Toronto FC, scoring in every single match he's appeared in. Mauro Lulli picks up his 4th goal of the weekend. As the ball played over to Flores, New York City FC now trailing 1-0 here to TFC late in the first half of action. As Flax plays it back for Aceto. Flores tries to dribble around as Lulli and Marshall Ruddy close him down. New York get the ball through to Palma before he plays it back to Cameron Aceto. Cooper Flax. Now, full credit to Juan Pablo Sanchez for creating that goal for TFC. He caused the pressure on the back line for New York And the keeper who came off to challenge Sanchez. And then Luli there to bury it home. I mean, no mistake by Luli. And the referee blows his whistle to signal the end of the first half of play. So a late goal by TFC sees them in front at the break. 1-0. Mauro Luli gets his 4th goal of the weekend. All right, fans, we're underway here in the second half of action now in this match between Toronto FC and New York City FC. As Toronto FC lead this match 1-0. Into the second half of action, New York City FC have made 3 substitutions here to start the second half of play. As Alex Pallas, Nicholas Wilson, and Raf Pascarella have all drawn into this match for New York City FC. So we'll see if any of those substitutions pay dividends for New York City FC, as they gave up a goal late in the first half to Super Mauro Luli, as he has been fantastic here. He's been really super this weekend. That was his 4th goal in just his 3rd game played for Toronto FC. As the ball trails out for a Toronto throw-in, it'll be Shannon Dorian tracking over for the ball. He'll leave it for Evan Amaral. We're getting some nice comments on our live chat thread, including one from Christian Sanchez, who says, great work by Juan Pablo Sanchez and the rest of TFC. And it was Juan Pablo Sanchez who put the challenge in on the keeper, Clausen, which ended up leading directly to the goal for Luli. So a really good showing this weekend from both Juan Pablo Sanchez and Mauro Luli, as Toronto FC continue to show dominance as they lead this match 1-0. They have now scored 9 goals for and given up 0 against in this their 3rd match of the weekend, as we're coming to you live from the Generation Adidas Cup Under-17 Boys Regional Division Group D play. Flax moves it back to his keeper Clausen, who then hammers it up to Favard. The ball gets away from Favard, but he challenges Amaral for possession, as Jojo Fajardo had it for a second, and then it's played back to Wilson, who knocks it out for a Toronto throw-in. Well, there's one pesky cloud back there preventing the sun from getting out, and you can feel a vast difference in the temperature when it's behind the cloud cover. Stojanovic plays it back to Medeiros. Stojanovic, Medeiros. Guarino was supplying the pressure from New York. It's now played over to Shannon, who lays it off to Gajadhar. Touched ahead for Juan Pablo Sanchez. TFC not making any changes at the half, as Kosi Thompson receives the ball, tries to cross it in. It goes back to Thompson, draws for the left-footed cross, headed high up by Amponsa, bouncing around. Clausen dove to his right, and it goes out for a goal kick, as crashing in to try get a foot there was Zappieri. Good pressure from Toronto FC. They just miss out on the finishing touch, as the chance generated through a combo of players, and it was Zappieri who nearly finished it off. Pascarella, he plays it ahead, as Pallas does well to keep it in, but ends up losing possession to Stojanovic. Juan Pablo Sanchez gets away from the initial tackle by Cooper Flax, but Flax, now taking Sanchez on, works it up the line before Stojanovic touches it over to Shannon Dorian. Dorian Shannon plays it out wide to Evan Amaral, whose ball gets picked off by Brian Flores, who has stepped up from the defensive back line into a midfielding position. So we'll see if Flores can help generate some offensive opportunity for New York City. As Favard chips it in, but Gajadhar knocks it out wide to Kosi Thompson. Thompson met by the challenge of Flores as he plays it ahead for Luli, but it'll be Aceto who gets to the loose ball and lays it back to his keeper Clausen. Amponsa goes back to Aceto. As they touch it out wide for Flores, it's out for a New York throw-in. give a shout out to Jaden Denorine, who's cheering on Toronto FC. And a reminder that if you're watching through the Toronto FC YouTube page, that you can let us know who you're cheering on, where you're watching from, and we'll get to a few more viewer shout-outs throughout this game. As Quinn Clausen with the ball for New York City, he lays it off to Prince Amponsa, who gets closed down quickly and gives it away to Kosi Thompson. Thompson tries to draw it over to Luli. He's in an offside position, so that puts an end to the chance for Toronto FC as Luli working for his second of the match. New York City making 3 changes at the half. Toronto FC yet to make a substitution in this match as Brian Flores takes the ball into the middle, ends up losing it as Marshall Ruddy comes up with it for Toronto. Jaquil Marshall-Ruddy feeds ahead for Juan Pablo Sanchez as he gets a piece of the defender Cameron Aceto, and that'll be a free kick for New York City FC. Prince Amponsa plays it short to Cooper Flax. He takes the space in front of him before laying it off to Nicholas Wilson. Wilson draws back to Aceto as he plays it out wide for Aiden Arbor. Arbor looks for a ball up the pitch. It's over the head of Guarino, and that'll give Stojanovic a chance to get to it as he plays it up for Marshall Ruddy. Jaquil Marshall-Ruddy spins away from the challenge of Pascarella, plays ahead for Zappieri. Quick 1-2 with him and Luli as they pick out Thompson making the run up the far flank. Thompson gets around the defender. Wilson tries to draw back in, but ended up losing possession, and it's scooped up by the keeper Clausen, who quickly bowls out for Arbor. Arbor streaking up the pitch, draws back for Flores. As Aceto plays it over to Amponsa. His ball ends up being picked off by Stojanovic as it's fed ahead for Marshall Ruddy. Jaquil Marshall-Ruddy takes it down low, cross to the far post. Running onto it is Thompson, but he couldn't get over top the ball as it sails high above the goal crossbar and out for a goal kick. Still nice creativity from Toronto FC and a good ball from Jaquil Marshall-Ruddy to pick out Kosi Thompson. As Quinn Clausen plays it from his goal, you can see how the ball got hung up in the wind there, the wind blowing towards the New York City goal, as Brian Flores taking possession for NYCFC. Aceto to Flax, back to Amponsa, as Zappieri tried to close down on Flax, but New York moved the ball back to their keeper Clausen, who ends up hammering it out. Stojanovic steps up. Flores takes possession. Brian Flores into the middle for Cooper Flax, who plays it back to Prince Amponsa. As Amponsa plays it up the line looking for Palace. Palace, touchback intended for Guarino. That's broken up. And here goes Gajadhar. Gajadhar over to Luli. Zappieri got tripped up, nothing doing. And now here goes Aiden Arbor for New York City. Well defended by Amaral, but the ball bounces to Favard, who tries to pick out the running Pascarella, but that was broken up by Stojanovic. Ball played up the pitch, running onto it. Mauro Luli, he's onside, and he's got the ball in the penalty area. It's knocked away. Juan Pablo Sanchez picks it up, and that curls just wide of the far post. Great strike there from Juan Pablo Sanchez that just missed the target. So both teams generating chances in the last few moments. As Palace plays it back. Along the far flank, Wilson back to his keeper Clausen, who once again hammers it high in the air, and the wind will bring it back as Arbor tracks all the way back to take possession for New York. Flores plays a ball ahead. It's headed away by Medeiros, picked up by Favard. He tries to pick out Pascarella, but that's broken up initially. Favard gets it back. Gajadhar defending, into the corner for Pascarella. His cross Oh, it's finished off on the header. What a goal! Oh, beautiful finish on the cross coming in from Pascarella. It's the substitute, Alex Pallas. And for the first time this weekend, Toronto FC have given up a goal against. It was a relatively innocent building play, but a strong header coming from Alex Pallas draws equal here in the second half of action. And we're all tied up at 1. Toronto FC getting set to make a substitution as they'll take Kosi Thompson out of the match and replace him with Nakai Greenidge Duncan. So NYCFC strike, and we are all squared up at 1. Toronto surrender a goal for the first time here this weekend as Christian Calabro gets beat on the header coming in from the cross delivered by Pascarella, but the goal finished off by Alex Pallas. Now a ball played ahead for Mauro Luli. He breaks in his shot right on, but it's right at the keeper and an easy save that time for Clausen. Pascarella receives the pass on the switch to the near side. As some of the New York City FC fans tuning in on the live stream celebrate the goal that has tied things up. And now Matthew Medeiros knocks that out for a New York City corner kick. Guarino setting up to take the corner kick. He's got a short option in Cooper Flax. But Guarino seems disinterested as he sets up for the in-swinger. To the near post, headed away by Luli. Loose ball. Marshall Ruddy challenges. Favard heads it, and then it's knocked up the pitch by Medeiros. Arbor stops that. Flores tries to bring it back. Gajadhar screams in with a challenge, and he'll earn a free kick for Toronto FC for his efforts. Evan Amaral takes possession. He draws back away from the challenge. And let's take that opportunity to give a shout out to Emily Amaral, his older sister, who's cheering on her little brother as he defends the left back position for Toronto FC. Dorian Shannon plays it out to Evan Amaral as he touches ahead for Zeppieri. Zeppieri tries to feed it through for Juan Pablo Sanchez, but that's broken up by Amponsa, headed by Amaral. Greenidge Duncan, he gets tripped up, but an advantage here for TFC as Gajadhar plays ahead. The advantage never really materialized, and a tough break there for TFC. Gajadhar knocks it back to Wilson, who in turn plays it to Aceto, and he'll play that out for a TFC throw-in. So Amaral gets set to take the throw. He's wearing the captain's armband now after Kosi Thompson was substituted out. He handed it off to Amaral. And he steps up to make a good tackle there on Favard. TFC still with possession as Greenidge Duncan plays it back for Gajadhar. New York able to wrestle that away, and it's high in the air where it's played out by Flores. Stays in play as it's headed by Arbor. Scrum of players battling for clear possession as it's switched up to the near side. Pascarella running onto it for New York. Pascarella set up the goal for Pallas, but this time Pallas loses possession and it's out for a Toronto FC throw-in. Gajadhar plays it over to Evan Amaral, who touches ahead for Nakai Greenidge Duncan. Run coming from Juan Pablo Sanchez. The ball gets picked off as it's controlled by Aceto for New York. They play it back to Wilson, who touches over to Amponsa. Ahead for Aceto as he tries to get around the challenge from Juan Pablo Sanchez. Touched forward for Pascarella, who draws back to Flax, steps away from the challenge of Zeppieri, and now it's with Pascarella once again. Closed down by Juan Pablo Sanchez, the ball knocked out for a New York City throw-in, taken quickly by Pascarella, ahead for Guarino, headed by Gajadhar, an inadvertent handball, but it is called by the ref, and it'll be a free kick for New York from distance. And again, with the wind blowing away from the TFC goal, the wind blowing in the face of the kick taker, it's Guarino setting up to deliver a cross into the penalty area. So New York pile players to the top of the 18 to try get a head or a foot on the cross here. Cooper Flax delivers the ball in. It's headed in the air by Zeppieri. Then the volley attempt from Favard, blocked by Calabro. And then he did well to clear the rebound away before any attacker could get to it. But an offside called anyway, so it would not have counted. Still a nice volley from Jojo Favard and a better save from Christian Calabro. Stojanovic touches ahead for Marshall Ruddy as he plays it over to Luli. His pass given away to Favard as it's controlled now by Medeiros. He picks out Greenidge Duncan along the far line, but it's across the boundary and out for a throw-in. 1-1 the score in this match between Toronto FC and New York City FC. As Cooper Flax takes it for New York, he plays it ahead to Leo Guarino, who ends up giving it away to Jaquil Marshall-Ruddy. Marshall-Ruddy taking on the defender in Prince Amponsa. Takes him down low into the box as he pulls it back out for Stojanovic. Out top to Gajadhar. Gajadhar thought about feeding it back in front, but he lays it down low to Marshall-Ruddy, who tries to dribble his way out of the pack. Gajadhar feeds it over to Amaral. Amaral with space in front of him takes what's given as he lays it off to Nakai Greenidge Duncan. Greenidge Duncan stepping over top the ball, beating the defender, crossed in low to Luli, but he just couldn't quite redirect it on goal as it bounced off his leg and across and instead of towards goal, it bounced away from the net. As Pascarella takes the ball ahead, his pass for Guarino not quite crisp, and that's out for a TFC throw-in. As Toronto FC getting set to make a couple of changes here. It looks like Hugo Mbange and Pellegrino will be set to come into this match. Gabriel Pellegrino scoring in TFC's 3-0 victory the other day as Juan Pablo Sanchez with the ball, draws it back for Marshall Ruddy, dribbles through the defenders, crosses, and that's out for a goal kick as he had some fine footwork, but then the final touch just lacked the accuracy. So it will be Mbange and Pellegrino getting set to come into the match for Toronto FC as from the goal kick, it's played short. Wilson touches ahead for Favard, and that's out for a Toronto throw-in. From the throw, Amaral with possession. He plays it back to Medeiros as they touch to the near side for Stojanovic. Tracked down by Marshall Ruddy. Pascarella on his back. Marshall Ruddy plays it back for Stojanovic. Touched ahead for Luli, who flicks on. Zeppieri running onto it. Catches a bit of contact, but more so slipping on the turf, and nothing doing there for TFC. Aceto plays ahead for Flax as he draws back for Amponsa. Amponsa looking for an option. They've got Pascarella making the run. It's played ahead for Flores. Flores dribbling around Juan Pablo Sanchez and now gets past Gajadhar as he tries to look for the switch over to Arbor. Aiden Arbor with control for New York. He plays a ball into the penalty area. Defended closely. There's a shot right on! And Calabro dives down to his left to make the save. Easily Calabro's busiest game of the tournament so far as New York have started to found some mojo here in the second half as they're creating Sustained pressure and chance after chance against the TFC keeper. As here goes Jojo Favard. He plays it back to Guarino, whose shot from distance hops once before it's met by the chest and hands of Calabro. Juan Pablo Sanchez takes the ball down. Cooper Flax draped all over his back. Nothing doing yet as Sanchez fights through the challenge to maintain possession, and now it's out for a TFC throw-in and a chance for Toronto to make the changes. So it'll be Mbange replacing Mauro Luli, who scored back in the 40th minute, his fourth goal in 3 matches. And Juan Pablo Sanchez, who was a key part of that goal being set up, is replaced by Gabriel Pellegrino. So a nice game from both Sanchez and Luli, but they're substituted out here in the second half. And we'll see if Mbange or Pellegrino can make a positive impact for Toronto FC. Favard tries to play it into Guarino. That got broken up as Mbange draws it over to Zeppieri. Zeppieri gets around Mponsa, picks out the running Marshall Ruddy, but the pass a little too heavy, and it's secured by Aceto for New York City. Cameron Aceto into the middle for Flax, right back to Aceto, as Gajadhar and Pellegrino close that down. Zeppieri steps up to intercept, plays it out wide for Nakai Greenidge Duncan. He's got some room to work up the far flank, closed down by Wilson. He gets tripped up, no call in the eyes of the referee as he waves that protest from Greenidge Duncan away, and it's secured by Clausen for New York as he bowls it out for Mponsa. Prince Mponsa switches out wide as it's controlled by Wilson. Check that, that's Flores. Flores plays ahead for Arbor as Aiden Arbor tries the cross to the far post. It gets away from Guarino. He tracks it down as he lays it back for Pasquarella. Cross back in, deflected by Gajadhar, taken down now by Arbor. He touches out wide for Flores as he tries to work his way back into the middle of the pitch. It's played over to Flax. Back to Flores. He's got Arbor there and uses the short option. Back to Brian Flores, who crosses in. That's headed away by Dorian Shannon. Then the right-footed volley by Jojo Favard out of play for a goal kick. Long ball from Stojanovic is met by the chest of Aceto as he takes it for New York across the half line, plays ahead for Favard before laying it back to Flores. Flores has his possession stripped away by Greenidge Duncan, who feeds it up to Mbange. Hugo Mbange taking on Cameron Aceto into the penalty area. Mbange's left-footed shot gets blocked by Aceto as they track over to the line, and it's kept in by Brian Flores for New York. Flores pulls back away from the pressure, touches over to Wilson, who in turn goes to Aceto, who plays it out, and it'll be a TFC throw-in. Toronto FC 1, New York City FC 1. You're tuned into the boys under 17 division of the Generation Adidas Cup. It's regional group play, Group D action here as the ball fed ahead for Jaquil Marshall Ruddy. Bit of a heavy touch. He's got to hustle to keep it in. Does his best to do so as he works out of the near corner. Marshall Ruddy taking on Prince Mponsa. He's got the overlap option in Stojanovic, who takes the ball but then has it stripped away by Favard. Jojo Favard looking for a clearance. It's played ahead to Flax, who then tries to pick out the running Palace, who's got the equalizer for New York here in the second half. It's the first time TFC have given up a goal here this weekend. Marshall Ruddy was in an offside position, hence why he never chased after that long ball, so Quinn Clausen calmly controls for New York. Well, as was the case in the earlier match, if we end 80 minutes here tied, we will go straight to penalties. we've still got some time before that happens as Jaquil Marshall-Ruddy plays it in on goal, and Quinn Clausen makes the save for New York City. Ball bowled out from the keeper Clausen as it's played by Wilson over to Arbor. Arbor touched into the middle for Flax. Flax looking for a switch to the near side. Pascarella can't quite handle that, and one of the ball boys gets in the game with a play there. Well, TFC getting set to make one more substitution momentarily as Luka Achitola gets set to come into the match. As Stojanovic plays that from the throw-in, it's over with Dorian Shannon. Amaral, he plays a long ball up the pitch, but well out of the range of Mbonge. It'll be controlled by the New York keeper, Clausen. Mponsa headed away by Medeiros. Gajadhar, he sends Marshall-Ruddy on a run. As Pascarella puts a push on his back, and that'll draw a free kick for Toronto FC. Jaquil Marshall-Ruddy able to shake that off, as he'll, at least for the moment, stay off the pitch to receive some treatment. Achitola comes in, and I think that was actually the substitution. As it is Jaquil Marshall-Ruddy out of the match and Achitola in. From the free kick, Greenwich Duncan delivers the ball in. That's knocked away as Cooper Flax plays it out to the half, but only as far as Evan Amaral. Amaral looking for an option, plays it out wide to Mbonge, but he dummies it and lets it go out for the throw-in. Marshall-Ruddy heading over to the TFC bench, laboring just a little bit, holding his midsection. Hopefully nothing serious there. As Greenwich Duncan has it closed down off his foot and then out for a TFC throw-in with Guarino losing possession. Medeiros over to Shannon, who in turn plays it out to Amaral. Mbonge starts to make a run up the pitch. The ball delivered in his direction, but too heavy, and it's out for a goal kick. Mponsa plays it into the middle for Acedo, who in turn touches ahead for Flax. Flores, he's got Pascarella making a run, and he uses him along the near sideline. Ralph Pascarella brings it to his right foot before drawing it into the corner for Leo Guarino. Guarino tries to bring it back away from Gajadhar, but ends up giving possession up to Nakai Greenwich Duncan, who's being chased down by Pascarella, and Pascarella does well to take it away from Greenwich Duncan. Here goes Mponsa into the middle for Favard. Nicely timed tackle by Gajadhar to put an end to that chance. Pellegrino plays it back to Amaral, who in turn touches ahead for Gajadhar, whose ball was intended for Zeppieri, but that got picked off. Medeiros steps up to make the pass ahead to Gabriel Pellegrino, as he has it stripped away by Arbor. Gajadhar able to make the touch through to Stojanovic, and then Greenwich Duncan keeps it in play along the touchline. That was close, but it stays in, and now it's with Zeppieri. Zeppieri dances through the first two challenges, lays it ahead for Mbonge, back in front, there's a shot attempt as Achitola let it fly, but again, unable to get over top the ball and keep it low. It sails high above the goal and out for a goal kick. Second half ticking away as we're trending towards penalties here with the teams all squared at one. Pascarella takes the ball for New York City FC. Across the half line, he's looking for an option, lays it off to Flores. He picks out Flax, who opened up out wide. Flax then plays it on to Arbor. Arbor looking for a potential cross in. He draws it back at the corner for Flax, who crosses in. Pascarella with the header. He was left all alone, unmarked in the penalty area, and Ralph Pascarella unable to finish off that cross. That was what New York was setting up for. They even had the mismatch on the defensive coverage. They just couldn't quite finish it off. Zappieri, he plays the ball ahead for Achitola, but that's going to be too far for him to catch, and it's out for a New York goal kick. 1-1 the score, as New York City FC and Toronto FC going head-to-head here in the Generation Adidas Cup Under 17 Regionals Group D action. As Amponsa plays it back to his keeper, Clausen, who got closed down really quickly by Mbange, and that was a tense moment as with Clausen close to his goal line, Mbange had thoughts of trying to block the clearance into the goal. Pellegrino picks off the pass, tried to feed it to Greenidge Duncan, does well to get around the first challenge, and now it's with Pellegrino. Nice work by Nakai Greenidge Duncan, and then Prince Amponsa steps up to make the interception. Stojanovic, he's looking up the field for an option, looking for the switch over to the left flank. It's headed back by Arbor to his keeper, Clausen. Got about 9 minutes of action remaining here in the second half, and if we end tied, we'll go straight to penalties as Flores plays it out wide for Arbor. Arbor looking up the pitch for an option, finds Palace. He's got the equalizer, but then it's headed away by Medeiros. Guarino, he gets hammered just outside the area, and this is going to be a free kick for New York City FC from no more than 19 yards out and almost directly center to goal. So this is about as quality of a chance as you can get for a set piece in terms of positioning on the field, and right now it's a trio of New York players over top the ball, including Guarino, Flax, and Flores. Less than 10 minutes remaining in match play, plus any added time. A New York City FC free kick to come as Pascarella, receiving instructions from the bench, passes those on to Guarino. A four-man wall sets up defensively for TFC to try block the kick. Leo Guarino drills it, and he scores! Oh, what a brilliantly taken free kick by Eligio Guarino as he puts New York City in front 2-1 late here in the match. It was a perfectly taken free kick by Guarino as it dipped low. It bounced just once before it ended up in the back of the net past the outstretched Calabro. Very difficult save for the keeper to have made. And an excellent kick taken by Guarino as he gets his second goal of the weekend. And New York City FC find themselves in front 2-1. So a costly foul taken by Toronto FC. They can't defend the free kick. New York capitalize to the full extent. And here in the second half, New York City FC have scored 2 unanswered goals to lead this match 2-1. Tough game here today for Toronto FC as for the first time all weekend they find themselves trailing a match. But it's played ahead here for Zappieri. He tries to switch over. It goes off a player, and now Achitolo will have a chance to cross in, and that's knocked away by Aceto. Only as far as Zappieri, who drills one, and he had all power, but just lacked the accuracy with that attempt, as it's out for a goal kick. Clausen taking his time with the goal kick for New York. He plays it short to Amponsa. Amponsa touches ahead to the man who's got the go-ahead goal, Eligio Guarino. Ball picked off by Gajadhar. Secured by Zappieri. He tries to step inside. Plays it over to Pellegrino. Out wide for Greenidge Duncan. Nakai, Greenidge, Duncan looking to cross in. He draws back to try create some space. Greenidge, Duncan takes it down low against Arbor, runs out of space to Favard, and it's Jojo Favard who gets the clearance for New York. Five minutes, give or take, left here in the match. We're playing two 40-minute halves in the boys under 17 Group D competition here at the Generation Adidas Cup. The ball headed away by Aceto. It's possession retained by Zappieri. He draws away from Flores into the middle for Gajadhar. He's closed down quickly by Flax, who plays it to Favard. Flores, Gajadhar wrestles it away. It's picked up by Stojanovic, whose cross gets blocked by Flores. Brian Flores gets the clearance for New York as far as Medeiros, where it's Palace who heads it over to Guarino. Guarino picks out Arbor, making the run along the far flank. He touches that one too far for Favard, and it'll go out for a TFC throw-in. Stojanovic plays ahead for Achitola as Toronto FC need to pick up the pace here if they want to equalize. Under 5 minutes remaining in the match, it's played ahead for Pellegrino, who gets hammered down, and that'll be a free kick. Toronto FC switch to the near flank for Stojanovic, who plays it right back to Shannon. Greenidge Duncan with possession. Toronto FC piling players in towards the box. The cross comes in, headed away by Pascarella, and then picked up by Guarino. Eligio Guarino plays it back to Prince Amponsa, who, being closed down by a few TFC players, just clears it out across half. Ball knocked back to Matthew Medeiros. Big shout out to John Clausen and Jake Roswell. Thank you guys for the nice comments. We won't acknowledge the other ones. As it's picked up by Pellegrino. He tries to feed ahead for Mbange, but it's secured by Flax. Flores for New York. He gets chased down by Zappieri. Touches ahead, but it'll be secured by Stojanovic. Time ticking away, the final few minutes of the match upon us as we'll wait to see if there'll be any added time here. TFC trailing 2-1 to New York City FC. Jason Gajadhar touches it ahead for Zappieri with a player on his back. He loses possession and it's secured by Palace. He plays it over to Favard, who in turn touches for Arbor. He did well to keep it in along the far touchline before giving it up to Shannon. Ball back to the keeper Calabro as he plays it out. Stepping up for the header was Flores. Stojanovic back to Medeiros as Guarino hauls him down, and Eligio Guarino didn't hear the whistle go, or if he did, he chose not to acknowledge it, as he takes a little more time off the clock, and he's got to be careful not to draw a caution here for that bit of gamesmanship. TFC take the free kick quickly. Final few minutes of the match upon us as TFC trailing 2-1. They played ahead for Pellegrino. He opens up some space, dribbling the ball. He lays it off to Stojanovic. Touched ahead for Achitola. Achitola into the middle, lays it back to Pellegrino. He's met by a couple of gray jerseys, and New York come away with possession. Flax closed down by Gajadhar. He plays it ahead. Medeiros picks it off. Shannon touches over to Amaral. Someone lost a shoe in the fray as the ball intended for Pellegrino got picked off. It's trailing towards the corner. Mbange with possession for TFC. Gets around the first defender. Mbange dribbling it in. Left-footed cross low to the goal. It's knocked away by Amponsa. Stojanovic picks it up. Gajadhar volleys into the box. Wilson heads it. And now it's Amponsa desperately trying to get the clearance away from Macedo. Or check that, that's Achitola. And Ponce, he clears it up the pitch as it's controlled now by Medeiros. He switches over to Amaral. Evan Amaral, his ball picked off by Arbor. Amaral fights to get it back, and he draws a foul call here, and it'll be a free kick for Toronto FC, as we're going to have 2 minutes, a minimum of 2 minutes of added time here in the second half. So we're into the final minute of action, and we'll have a minimum of 2 minutes added time, and Toronto FC, feeling the urgency to equalize, send everybody except for 2 players behind the kick taker into the penalty area. It's Greenidge Duncan and Zeppieri over top the ball. A 2-player wall sets up defensively for New York, as Toronto FC have players lined up along the penalty area on the near side to get reception on the cross. Referee looking for contact. Zeppieri tried to get Greenidge Duncan on the misdirection, but Guarino defended it perfectly, and then a foul committed by Zeppieri, so a free kick to come here for New York, and Guarino will stay down after that contact right up until the referee goes to check on him. So New York get the free kick. It's played by Cameron Aceto up the pitch, headed by Matthew Medeiros. As we're into the added time, 2 minutes being played here, a minimum of, as New York City FC holding on to a 2-1 lead over Toronto FC. Toronto FC trying to find a late equalizer as Zeppieri brings it up. He's checked closely by Flores before laying it off to Medeiros. Gajadhar, he plays it out wide to Amaral. As Amaral looks for an option up the field, he decides to lay it to Pellegrino. Touch back for Medeiros. He's got time and space in front of him, but plays it over to Stojanovic, who then goes to Achitola, who loses it to Pascarella, and that's out for a New York City throw-in. Ralph Pascarella throws in across the half as it's headed on by Brian Flores. Matthew Medeiros with Alex Pallas all over his back. Remember, it was Pallas who got the equalizing goal in the second half for New York to draw the match tied 1-1, and there he's proving to be a bee in the bonnet of Medeiros. Toronto FC's front line of Mbange and Zeppieri want the ball sent ahead. Now it's delivered. Mbange runs onto it, a very minor amount of contact that he tries to sell for a call, and nothing doing as it's Quinn Clausen with possession of the ball for New York City FC. The referee blows his whistle. New York City pick up the 2-1 victory over Toronto FC.